What happens when a psychologist and an attorney leave behind their old lives to start over on the side of a Panamanian volcano? In this inspiring conversation with Elizabeth Worley, a co-founder of Cloud Forest Botanicals, we explore her journey from running a domestic violence center in North Carolina to building a coffee and herbal medicine business here in Panama. Elizabeth shares how she and her partner discovered the healing power of plants, navigating shifting laws around CBD, and how they use AI as a trusted partner to grow their business with strategy, clarity, and critical thinking. Let's dive in. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your story with us. So go ahead and tell us your name and who you are and a little bit about you.
Okay, it's Monday morning. My name's Elizabeth Worley, and I live in Panama. And I think, as I understand it, you wanted us to talk a little bit about our businesses here and how we're using AI, or
Right now, I just human to human, just who you are and
okay,
what you do with your life.
gotcha.
Yeah, this is don't even yeah.
Don't even worry about that. Okay, cool. That takes the pressure off. Um,
Okay.
I've lived in Panama now for 21 years, and I live on the side of a volcanic mountain on a coffee farm looking out to this amazing vista, which you can't see right now because the fog has come in. But anyway, my partner, Diane Heidke, and I run Cloud Forest Botanicals and our coffee farm here. And we love living here. Basically, living in Panama was an adventure for both of us. She was an attorney in former life, and I was a psychologist in my former life, and
Oh,
neither of us ever anticipated we would end up living on the side of a volcano running a coffee and herbal botanical business. But here we are,
that is
and it's
beautiful.
been fantastic.
Right. Yeah. So what brought you all to Panama?
Different things. I came kind of I don't want to say a midlife crisis, because it was like I wanted a new opportunity in the latter part of my life. And so when I turned 50, I started looking around to, well, what do people do? Where do they go? What's next? And Panama kept coming up on the radar.
Cool.
And it was at a time when there was a great deal of turmoil going on in the United States at that point. And I thought, yeah, fine, I'll just do something different. I'll just do something completely different. And that was me. I lived in the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina at that
Oh,
time. It's a
beautiful.
beautiful area,
Yeah.
and I loved it. Diane, it was a whole different story. She was in New York City
Wow. Okay.
and came down for a whole lot of other reasons. And
So did you guys meet in Panama?
we met in Panama
Oh, how cool.
at a spaghetti party out in the Palmyra area. And it was just like, whoa, this is interesting.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
Super
it's
cool.
been cool.
Right on.
Very good.
So before we kind of jump into the now, because it does sound like you've had a couple lives, right? The life you're living now is a little bit different back then. But you said your background, you were a psychologist. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Okay. I covered a lot of territory there. I was director of a domestic violence and sexual assault
Wow.
center in Western North Carolina in the Blue Ridge Mountains, a very rural area, but there was also a university. And so you wear a lot of different hats along the way. And so I did that. And then I had a private practice on the side. And I also taught developmental psychology at the university there.
Wow.
So, yeah, and it was very fulfilling. It was very frustrating. It was very challenging. Yeah. But
And then,
that's
and
what
then
I
when you,
did.
and when you got out of that life, what
I moved to
brought you
Panama.
you moved to Panama, and then how did Cloud Forest Botanicals come about? How did this coffee farm? I mean, what were those steps?
Well, hang on one second. The longer story that people can read about in my book, Risking Everything, that I
Cool.
published about 10 years ago.
Wow.
The long story is longer. The short story is that I moved to Panama and I didn't even know what a coffee tree looked like. you
Cool.
know, and Boquete was still very much not nearly as developed then
Yeah,
as it
21
is
years.
now.
Totally.
There were very few paved roads even, and I had no intention of coming down here and buying property or doing anything else, but I was introduced to this particular farm, abandoned farm, basically on the side of the mountain. And, sometimes in your life, something happens and you're like, whoa, this is it. This moment right here is critical. And I was looking for something. And so I thought, okay, I don't know what this is going to be like, but so I did. And I learned a lot about growing coffee. And then I met my partner, Diane. And then the world economy in 2008 fell apart. And we were like, wow, how do we make a living? What do we do now?
Okay.
We didn't come down here retired or with pensions or a big pot of money in the bank or anything like that. So we really had to kind of figure it out from the ground up. And we met people along the way. We met an old mountain. He was part Panamanian, part North American. I think his father was in the military and his mother was Panamanian. Name was Franklin Gruber.
Okay.
And he liked us and he came out to the farm and he said, you do know you're growing a lot of medicinal plants here on this. And we were like, really?
Yeah. Cool.
Really? And so he started teaching us about what was here. And then he introduced us to other people who said, this plant here is medicine. This plant here is medicine. And this is how you learn it. And we were still learning to speak Spanish at that point, too.
What a fun way to learn.
It was a great way to learn. And so we started making stuff. We made little tinctures and we made little creams and we tried them out on our friends and family and nobody died and some people felt better. And so that was I guess that started out 2008, 2009. In 2010, we formed the company Cloud Forest Botanicals, and we've been growing ever since. We just recently received our MINSA registration through the Ministry of Health, licensing for, one of the things along the way is we learned a lot about CBD and cannabis medicine, not the kind that you smoke and you get high, but although that's a different story, but about how CBD can be used as an adjunct to allopathic traditional medicine. And we started incorporating that into some of our formulas.
So I'm also a Panama gringa. I was born in Panama, Panamanian citizen, and I live here now. And I do know that sometimes being in Panama feels kind of like we're in the 50s, How did the Panamanian government accept you bringing in, CBD?
Well, interesting that you would ask that question. Let me be real clear that the products that we use, CBD that we bring in, is completely zero THC. So it's,
I imagine, yeah.
What happened to my thing there? And the Panamanian government just I think it was the end of March of this year, 2025, passed a hemp law allowing for the use medically, food supplements, topical, anything. The use of CBD from hemp is now completely legal in Panama. And Cloud Forest Botanical, is one of the very first to receive licensing through the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, MISI. There's so many different
It's amazing.
Ministerial things here. And we just received that 2 months ago.
Congratulations.
So
we're doing this as residents.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
That's
incredible.
Yeah. We're pretty impressed. And we've got several products in the pipeline with the Ministry of Health that have CBD, and they're like, if you get this other bit, then we'll get that. They have registered one product. It's a turmeric and CBD product that we make. They have already given us the numbers for that. So yeah, it's been an amazing adventure. Just amazing. Yeah.
So in this journey, I mean, 10 years ago, you said you wrote a book, and then, the coffee farm and the cloud forest. Okay. And then, as we know, a few years ago, AI kind of blew up. So where has AI fit into this journey of yours?
I love AI. I call it a her. And
I do too. Mine to her too.
I refer to her as my very good friend.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know a lot of people don't share that same thing. But I guess I first specifically heard about it about 18, 20 months ago. And there's a guy here in town, Mark Heyer, who was doing a workshop on it. And it was kind of an introductory thing. And I thought, well, this could be interesting. This is cool. So I went. I didn't understand a word of it. Not a word of it. I was like, I don't know what the hell he's talking about or how this applies to me or anything else. And he's just one of these super genius guys, But I came back and I thought, well, right, I can figure this out. And so I just started, Googling different things, and I ended up on OpenAI, one of the earliest versions of OpenAI, and started using it pretty much like I had been using Google up to that point. I was in the process of writing a novel and about things that I had no clue about, diamond smuggling and all of that kind of stuff. So it was like I would type in a question and go, well, what about this in this country? Or what if I had to write about a mega yacht, what would a mega yacht actually look like? Because
Okay.
I don't know, I've never seen one.
Yeah.
Much less been on one. And so I started out just using it like that. And it was fantastic because I, would type in a question, and as opposed to when Google would give you, 57 different links that you then had to sift through, this would just give me a summary with the links,
Yeah.
but it would give me like, you need to know this, 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 and this. And then now, would you like me to help you organize this? And so I was like, wow, this is a very powerful tool. And so over the last 18, 20 months, whatever, I have just begun to use it more and more. And with, as a writer, using it as an information source or a verification source, that's really good. I don't use it to write my creative stuff. That's very important to me to do that my own self. But occasionally I will write a piece, revise it, and then run it through and say, give me a critical analysis of this. Like if I had a human editor sitting there.
Yeah.
And would go through and say, well, these are the strong points. These are the places where it's a little weak. You might want to consider something else. As I said, I don't use it to write my work because that's very important to me to be the author of it. But recently, I would say within the last, pretty recently, 3 or 4 months, Diane and I have started using it for our Cloud Forest Botanicals business because neither one of us have backgrounds, particularly in business. We don't have MBAs, and I realized that if I put in, for example, with the financial data for the last 5 years of our business, which I have because we have a bookkeeper, etc., and ask chat to analyze this and give me data points. And if I wanted to increase my revenue, if I wanted to increase gross sales of our products, what would be a schematic for doing that?
Yeah.
like that, like that.
And earlier you said something that I think is really key. You said you asked it to give it you critical feedback, right? Because as we know, ChatGPT can be our biggest fans, right? And so I love that you said, "Hey, give me critical feedback."
Yeah.
And then obviously, you know, as you're asking it for this direction in your business, you're bringing that human approach too. So you're getting your eyes on it, and you can tell it. You can feel, "Hey, this is correct," or "This is incorrect." You're not fully blindly trusting this, of course.
Oh, hell no. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
You've
say
heard
that.
the word before. It's okay.
Yeah, for example, Diane and I had a meeting this morning and we put in some prompts and came up with a 6-month plan based on product sales and revenues and stuff, and a strategy for what we can focus on in month 1 and 2, months 3 and 4 to
Awesome.
promote promote the business. Now, some of this stuff we've already done, she just doesn't know that. Um,
ChatGPT, she.
Yeah, she,
Right.
yeah, she, the
Yeah,
chat
right.
GPT. Or we sometimes kid around and say, maybe she's French. She could be chat GPT.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
So, it's helpful. It's a guideline. And so we look at it and we're like, okay, all right, we've already done that. We've already done that. This doesn't really fit for us. So yes, it's bringing human eyes and on the ground experience being in Panama.
And what I love about this is and I talk about this all the time because I can't talk about it enough. So many people just have these ChatGPT black holes, right? Is what I call them, just content, 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 content. And you're actually applying it. You're actually foot in front of the other, following this outline. You're printing it up. You're following those steps. You're not just pulling.
And that's exactly correct. Going back in after we've done a prompt and have come up with something, it's like, this doesn't work for us. Shift it this way. This does not apply to who we are or how we want to brand ourselves.
Yeah.
And she changes it.
Great. Very cool.
It really is great. It's a wonderful tool. And the other day, we took off from work for a few days and went to the beach and had time to actually kind of think about things. I put in and it's all about the prompts. It's all about specific prompts and being willing to dig into what exactly do you want to know.
Yeah.
So I had been watching some stuff on YouTube and reading some things. People are freaked out about AI and, oh my God, it's going to take over the world. And I don't know, maybe it will, but I probably won't live to see it. But whatever. And
this will be fine.
I think it'll be fine.
Try. Yeah, it might work better.
And so I just put in, I said, there's a lot of experts out there that are raising concerns about this. And when, AI gets to this point of super intelligence, which is kind of like the next thing, what, from your perspective, you, ChatGPT, should we be aware of or concerned about? Bam, got back, a 3-page analysis of all of the different experts and the developers of AI and the links to it so I could verify if I wanted to.
Cool.
And what they're saying, that the most alarmist sort of thing is that chat will achieve, or AI, because it's more than just chat. It's the general AI will achieve super intelligence in 2 to 3 years, at which point it might make a lot of human industry irrelevant.
Wow.
Others equally experts, I guess is the best word, are saying, nah, that's not going to happen for 3 to 4 decades. So there's time. And so then the next prompt that I put in is so what, again, from your perspective as AI, does this pretend for humanity? And it was fascinating. It came back, it was like it's like, well, there's the utopian view that this helps everything go to a more cooperative, collaborative, informed, and intelligence. Yeah, exactly. Approach to civilization. That was the utopian. The second was dystopian, which was not quite so good. That because AI will actually make some jobs irrelevant for humans. Like if you're a financial data analyst and that's what you do is crunch numbers all day long, every day for weeks on end, chat can turn it out in 30 seconds, given the same data.
I mean, you run numbers through AI. I run numbers through AI. I find mistakes, I'm sure
Oh,
you
yeah.
have too.
Oh, yeah. But I find mistakes in my own work.
Totally. Of course. Okay.
And so that's where the human eye has to come in,
Yeah,
and you have to look at it. Yeah, absolutely.
So what do you see your evolution of AI being in the next 6 months? How do you feel like you'll evolve with AI?
I think we will use it we're looking to scale our business.
Cool. In what ways?
Production, marketing, distribution. We're looking for more distributors. We've got 7 distributors through the country. We need a few more in different areas. Looking to scale up. And then, so how do we, if the market expands and demand expands, how do we scale up production from our little place here on the side of the mountain to meet that demand in a way that doesn't make us lose our minds? And so I think we'll use it a lot that way in terms of helping us organize and prioritize the steps. Have you done this? Have you done this? What about this? Think about this. Here's something else. Diane, the other business that she has, I'm a silent partner in, is the Zapadora, which is a antique consignment furniture place down in Puerto Rios from here. And she's decided after 20 years of running it that she's going to put the business and the property on the market to sell. Has had zero interest from any of the real estate companies around, particularly. They all want quick turnover residential stuff, and that's good for them. That's their market. So she put into chat a description of the property, some of the surrounding properties and the location and stuff, and then said, what's the best market value for this? What's the best way to go about getting word of this out to people? And it came back with a 3-page thing of these are the comparables in your area, properties of a comparable value. Your pricing is exactly on target. These are the ways you can market it. You need to go through Facebook stuff and various LinkedIns and all the other social media things. And if you're interested in talking to real estate agents in Panama who might be interested in commercial property, these are the names.
Amazing.
With their contact information.
And that took about 5 minutes.
Not even.
Yeah, wow.
And so that's another example of how you can use it as just like this encyclopedic resource that applies analysis to the information.
Well, and it's so interesting that you say that, because people will tell you, and so Jam AI, we support small business owners with their sales and marketing by powering them with via AI, and we support them, and we facilitate learning, particularly focusing on sales and marketing, right, and small business development with use of AI and different AI tools. Anyway, and so we hear a lot of AI professionals. We talk AI a lot, right? And something I hear often, and that I've been kind of struggling with, and you just kind of pinned it, is this idea that AI doesn't critically think, doesn't do critically thinking. And I mean, you just kind of negated that with this story of her, not. It's almost like she was able to bring in a broker through AI, and they were able to use critical thinking to give her ideas that she didn't otherwise have. And I just think that's kind of interesting.
Well, it is interesting. And one of the things, there's so many different threads that come together around this thing. And the thing is AI doesn't have opinions. AI doesn't have beliefs. It doesn't have a game in the fight here, It just
Supposedly.
analyzes the facts.
Yeah.
And the real facts, not the fake news facts. If it's binary, it's ones and zeros, it's computerese. And so there's no ego involved in it. So even when chat's being really friendly and going, "Oh wow, that's really great work. I just love the way you put that." And I'm like, "Oh, damn it. I don't need you to be my friend. I need you to tell me, does this work?"
And you can get there through prompt engineering,
Yeah.
through these specific prompts and giving them that feedback. Hey, look, I don't need you to be my cheerleader here right now. I need you to give me critical feedback. And I keep coming back to that term you used because it's so important to give them that direction.
Think about it. What is critical analysis? What is critical thought? Aside from a faculty that many people are lacking. Right. It's the ability to look at relevant data,
Yeah.
and data is
Yes.
real stuff.
Zeros and ones.
Make comparisons, draw inferences, make logical or illogical connections and stuff.
Yeah.
And being able to look at it in the context of what's gone before, and what is forecast.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
All right. So when we check in with you in 6 months, you're gonna say, "Hey, I've been using AI to expand our business, and here we are," right?
Totally.
Cool.
Totally. And if you have any feedback or any tips that I haven't covered here, please let me know.
I'll absolutely follow up with some resources. Yeah, there's so much out there. I mean, we love ChatGPT, and there's so much out there.
I know, and I haven't even gone beyond that, really. I just
I think you're doing great. I think you're
thank
doing great. Thank you
thank
so
you
much
so
for
much.
yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I hope after this call we get off and you think, "Huh, maybe I can try, this," or maybe it just kind of ignites,
Totally.
something else. So thank you for your time, and I'll be following up shortly.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Take care. Ciao.
Bye. Okay. That went fast.